What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. And I lost my wallet. And it's driving me nuts. Yeah, I can't stop thinking about it. I don't know where it is. I had it Monday, I used it at the grocery store, and then I came back here. Now it's gone. I called the grocery store. They don't have it in the lost and found. I can't stop thinking about it though. It's driving me insane. So there's that. So prepare for me to be kind of distracted tonight. In the chat, Dylan Merck, Brandon's Baked Beans, Tuner Taxi, Grizz FPV, Ram Donko, Alley-Oop, Imp FPV, B-Man, Richard R.C. Ritter, Scott FPV, Blaine Hayworth, Northern Tier, Frank Nicholas, Jay Drones. Come on, YouTube. There we go. FPV Trucker, R.C. Ritter, Adrian, Remy Tim is in the house, Wam FPV. I think I got everybody. What's up, friends? Did any of you guys see it? Here, hold on. Let me go to... Really, OBS? The fucking keystrokes are gonna fail, like, right away? Really? You're gonna fuck me like that? Hold on. I gotta restart the stream. It's gonna pinwheel for a second. I'll be right back. I can't not have things. Alright, now the keystrokes will work again. Let me just shrink OBS down a little bit. And... Hey! There we go. Let's see. Let's see. Is there any evidence of it on Monday? Is it on the desk, maybe?
FPV Trucker. I gotta quit out of OBS.
I can't see the desk. I had that green shirt on, though.
Back. Let me just resize the window real quick.
Does that green shirt tell me anything?
There we go. Okay, cool.
Not really.
Yeah. Hey, keystrokes are working again. Patrons.
Wow. Eerie. Eerie. Is it in this shot?
Today, rubbing in
no.
The fact that he doesn't use Facebook and Instagram. It's allowed. Ooh, that's pretty slick. But does the power supply have an on-off button?
I had that green shirt on. I don't know. I swear to God, if I can't find it, I'm going to lose my mind. Tuner Taxi says, what's up? I'm actually home in time for this one. Glad you could make it, Tuner. B-Man says, what's up? Grizz says, CiottiFPV is the man. If you'd like me to read your comment, all you got to do is what all these people that I'm calling out right now have done, which is to type CiottiFPV. When you type it and you spell it right, it highlights in orange like that. And I know you're talking to me. Blaine Hayworth says, what's up, what's up? Jay Drones says, hi, my American friend. FPV Trucker says, happy hump day. Ram Donko says, peekaboo, what you up to? CiottiFPV and all. Dusty Joe FPV says, what's up? Happy Wednesday. And we're caught up. Is it under there? Where the hell is it? Is it in here? Why is it that when I lose something, I look in the most asinine spots? I look in the same spots over and over and over again, and then I just look in the craziest fucking spots. What? I guess I'm just like looking anywhere. Where the hell is it? The fucking lava lamp's not on. I also realized that a pair of my workout shorts have disappeared too. Not shorts, pants. And I guess there's a chance that I was wearing them, but I think they disappeared a while ago. Where the hell is it? Where is it? God damn it, Larry. WAMFPV says, what do you think of the Toka 2207.5 1700s for a glide bill? Have a set already that I was considering. No clue, WAM. I haven't heard anything about them, and I am a T-Motor F40 Pro 2 and Pro 4 kind of guy. Sorry. 2207.5 is a hell of a big motor, though. That's going to be a very, very, very overpowered rig. But if that's what you're looking for, then yeah, that's what you're going to get. That's a lot of stator volume, though. A lot. 661FPV says, what is a Goodyear Miata? I think I want one now. All of them, to be honest. The NAs and the first and the second gens are great. Find a Miata Facebook group and just start reading, and you'll see pictures of them, and you'll figure out which one you like the look of. But they're all arguably the best sports car ever built. The first and second gen. The first gen has pop-up headlights. The second gen is my generation. The third generation is a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, a little bit more of a daily. And then the current generation, which is the fourth generation, is kind of like the best of everything. If you have the money, the fourth generation is definitely the best. But they are a lot more expensive. Dusty Joe says, going to be hitting up on Fiverr. Need some tuning help with my Ripsqueak V2. Sounds good, Dusty Joe. Excited to do it. Grizz FPV says, we all do it. Good. Good to be less crazy. Arguably. Blaine says, starting Ripsqueak V2 build, what's the best way to mount a micro-size cam in there? Micro-size cam in there. Just use, I mean, it's going to come with TPU camera loops. I would just use those. 661 says, look under the seat in your car. Yeah, I looked everywhere in the car. Unfortunately, it's not in there. Ramdongo says, would TweetFPV take Harry off your allergic hands? I had a cat called Harry. I don't know. But he won't. I mean, he's not really. He's going to my ex-wife. 661 says, I'm thinking maybe first or second generation. Yeah, those are the cheap ones, and those are the lightweight ones. Blitz FPV says, hey there, morning from SA at 3 a.m. Sleep schedule's fucked. SA. So if it's 3 a.m., 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. It's a 6-hour difference. Somewhere in Europe. I guess SA is somewhere in Europe. Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't going to my ex-wife, though, I would keep him. I've always been allergic to cats. This is not something that, like, just started. South Africa! There we go. Very cool. Good call, guys. Maybe I just overlooked it just now. Could be up there. You don't know. Don't fucking look at me like I'm crazy. Could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. Looking at me like I'm nuts. Dusty Joe says, gotta do it. Hat progress. Oh, sorry, brother. The hats are Wait, no. The bucket hat is not embroidered. Yeah, we're gonna work on the bucket hat one of these nights. Not yet, though. Did I accidentally mail it to one of you guys? Did I put it in one of the... No. Let's work on the goddamn glide. I'm going from one very frustrating thing to another. This is, I know the name of the stream is finishing, but, is it under here, maybe? No. No promises on the finishing side of things. I'm gonna try. But, ow! You guys know. You guys know what's up. It's impossible for me to finish anything ever. Okay. Let me do a minute of cleaning, and then we're gonna get started. This desk is looking like someone vomited parts on it. Let me put some of these away real quick. Alright. Those guys go there. Those guys go there. Those are all M3. Here's a bunch more M2 stuff. There we go. Some washers, some plastic M2 washers, some screws, some of these brass collar bastards, and if you do a little bit of cleaning every single time before you start, then you'll have done a little bit of cleaning rather than having done none. Absolute unbridled wisdom right there. Just can't get that anywhere else. Okay. Let's put these guys away too. Absolute unit. That's a by 10. This looks like it's a by 12. But let's make sure it's not a by 4. Yep, nope, it's a 12. Alright, so these are M2 by 12s. Cool, look. We did a little cleaning. This workbench is ever so slightly more clean than it was 10 minutes ago. But I still don't know where my fucking wallet is. This is gonna really, I am not going to deal well with this. I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. I have email alerts when my cards get used though, so nobody's been using my cards or anything like that. So I'm probably just gonna wait. Like I'm probably just going to yeah, I don't know. I weirdly like have a bunch of cash, so I can like just drive without a license for a while and pay for shit with cash. But like I'm gonna have to do something soon. Like I can't wait that long. So let me go see where that shirt is. Hold on. Let me go see where that shirt is. I know where that shirt is, but let me go look super quick. Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh, this is just bug. This is just gonna bug. Oh, come on now, really? This is gonna bug the shit out of me forever. Be right back. Be right back. That's the thrilling thing for you guys to watch. It was not. The T-shirt was where I expected it to be. Unfortunately, I don't know why I went and looked for it. Unfortunately, my wallet was not inside of my T-shirt. BlitzFPV says, South Africa, yes, but I'm sad no 6S batteries in the whole country, and I want to build a proper 5-inch, thinking of using the Velox V2. Any opinion, need a cheap race motor? I don't know anything about race motors, but the Velox V2 is probably a good choice, because T-Motor makes good motors. 1950 kV on 6S is going to make a lot of power, so that's going to be pretty racy. I tried a Velox. T-Motor sent me a set of Velox V1s that I tested. They were fine. They were a 2207, so I couldn't really tell. I don't like that motor size. But WomFPV says, do you have a list of your current preferred parts on your Patreon? I do not, Wom, but it's down below in the description of every video. Ramdonko says, TweetFPV ain't running away with... So TweetFPV ain't running away with your wife, you mean the cat. Yeah. Yeah. ScottFPV says, what's up? Getting ready to build 2.5-inch Ripspeed V2, set of 1202.5 5600 kV motors. Do you think that's a good size motor for this build? It'll be running on 4S batteries. That's going to be a little small. I've actually been flying a toothpick. Isn't that ridiculous? Isn't that a crazy sentence? Where the hell is it? The Emacs Nanohawk X. They sent this to me a while ago, and then I just didn't really have a chance to do anything with it. This is on 1202.5s, and these motors absolutely cannot control these propellers. Let me get a weight on these propellers. I'm really disappointed with this motor size, 1202.5. So these props are only 0.7 of a gram, 0.8 of a gram, and these motors can't even handle these props. So I would not. I can almost guarantee that a 1202.5 is not going to be able to handle a 2.5-inch tri-blade. It feels like that small of a motor is really only going to be able to control a 2-inch tri-blade, or maybe a 2.5-inch bi-blade. So yeah, a ripsqueak build is going to be very heavy in comparison to this. So that's going to make that situation even worse. So hopefully you don't already have the 1202.5s, because I can't see a world where that's going to be enough motor to get, unless you're looking for like a long range build out of it, which you probably aren't, because that's just silly. So yeah, you really want to be looking at 1304s or 1404s to be able to properly control a 2.5-inch propeller, 2.5-inch tri-blade. Though that motor size is also going to be able to really kick the shit out of a 3-inch bi-blade. Not quite a 3-inch tri-blade though. So yeah, I'm just seeing that you said you already have the set of 1202.5 motors. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to use those motors on a ripsqueak build, you're going to be looking at like a long range build basically, where you're not going to get good flight performance, but you're going to have the lightest possible setup for that frame. Unfortunately, that frame is not really built to be lightweight, so it's going to be a little bit of a mismatch. You're going to have like long range motors on a freestyle frame, so you're going to sacrifice performance. Like a long range frame is going to be lighter weight, So yeah, that's about all I can think of. Sorry, brother. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Alley-oop says, best motors for a 3-inch Apex. The 3-inch Apex frame is outrageously heavy. Way, 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 way too heavy for a 3-inch frame. So you're going to have to go with a hell of a big motor, and then you're going to end up with like a 300 plus gram 3-inch rig that's going to really kind of like tumble out of the sky like a sack of hammers when you come off the throttle. So realistically, you're probably going to need to go with like an X-Nova 1804 3500 kV, and then you're going to have to put a big boy propeller on it like a like the T-Motor 3140 or the Gemfan 3052. That's really the only setup that's going to have enough power to overcome the ridiculous weight of that Micro Apex 3-inch frame. That frame is way better suited for the to be a 4-inch. Like just the weight of the frame and the thickness of the frame. The arms are 4 millimeters. There's no need to ever do a 4 millimeter 3-inch arm. That's insane. And the rest of the frame is just very, very chunky, very, very heavy. So yeah, there are my thoughts on that. BlitzFPV says, bloody chip shortage has made my beloved Talon Fusion way too expensive. Hope it doesn't go on too much longer. Yeah, me too, Blitz. Me too. Blaine's, but apparently the chip shortage, according to everything I read, we've got a couple more years of it because of how long it takes to build the foundries and whatever. I don't know. Blaine says, wasn't sure site says fits nano cam or micro with alternate TPU mounts. I thought that you said you cams perfectly. Richard says, is it in a grocery bag or in your vehicle? If I don't put my usual stuff in the same spots, I forget where they go. There's a chance that I put it in the grocery bag that I potentially then didn't notice it and threw that in the garbage, which got taken out and is now in a landfill. So there's a chance that, yeah. Ramdago says, be cool, wait for the zombies. Anthony DeStefano with a $2 super chat. He says, check your car seat and under, it fell out there. Already checked that, but thanks for the generosity, Anthony. Much appreciated. GrizzFPV says 1505 for the win on Ripsqueak V2. Yeah, if you're going to go 3-inch tri-blade, the Toka 1505s, I think are the best that I've found. I do need to do a little bit more head-to-head testing of those versus the 1504s versus the 1306s. Yeah, the Toka 1505s look like a really, really good choice. These actually need to get put on one of the Ripsqueaks. Probably the one with the Brother Hobby 1504.5s. Ramdanko says, had not much experience, but the limited flight I've had on 2.5 was like vectors compared to my small stuff, learning lessons, CiottiFPV and all. What? Had, I assume, not much experience, but the limited flight I've had on 2.5 was like vectors compared to my small stuff. Vectors in all capitals was like vectors compared to my small stuff, learning lessons. You okay, Ram? What's going on? And then 661FPV says lag. Is it lagging? Is there a lag between the audio and the video? J. Drone says, what's the weight of a Ripsqueak 3-inch frame, dude? Not sure. Let's take a look. Let's see what we can find here. Frames. Oh, nope, there it is. Too slow. Did you say V2? Well, you're gonna get the V2 weight. Looks like Bob doesn't have it on the website. So it's pretty configurable. I have weighed it before when I've had access to them. I don't think I necessarily have. I mean, it is going to depend. It is going to depend on which arms you run, which TPU you run. It's going to be roughly like 30 grams, a little bit shy of 30 grams. It's the, yeah, it's the one that you want. Builds tend to be all over the place because all the different electronic components and whatnot weigh different amounts. So yeah, I mean it's the 3-inch freestyle frame that you want. Maybe I just overlooked it. No, it's not there. All right. God damn it. Oh, why? Okay. All right. Okay. So I don't have epoxy, so I'm gonna use super glue. I'm going to use this thicker 3M super glue on this little, I think they're called daughter boards. I think when there's one board on another board, it's called a daughter board. So I'm just going to use this. I haven't actually used this yet. This is 3M CA, which is supposedly the best. So let's see if this works. I'm very curious. Somebody in the chat the other night said that that CA would work totally fine for what I was doing. So I'm gonna take their word for it, and we're gonna give it a shot here. Oh wow, this is nice and thick. Oh cool, that's what she said. Yeah, this is good and thick. So I'm just putting a little bee of this around here. Actually pull this light in and turn it up a little bit. Oh, that's better. This is nice. Usually super glue is a lot more runny than this. This is really, really nice. The viscosity of this is really nice. I like that. So if you weren't on one of the streams that I've talked about it, 3M sells this super glue here with different PR ratings, and I did a little bit of research, and the PR is the thickness of the liquid. So what I did, the reason I was looking at that is I wanted to find a super glue that I could use for the arm ends, which was really thin, to kind of penetrate in between the layers of carbon when they delaminate a little bit. And then I wanted to find another one that was nice and thick that I could put on the ends of the arms, like to kind of like sit up on top, basically. And yeah. So I got this PR 1500, which is really thick, and then I got a bottle of this PR 40, which is nice and thin. And this is actually the first time I'm using them because I haven't really been flying freestyle lately. So yeah, I like the. This is pretty much the exact thickness that I was hoping for. It's kind of like sitting right up on top, and yeah, I'm gonna put a tiny little bit more on this edge here, just to make sure that it's kind of touching the top of the board. I don't really know what the only thing I'm worried about with this, not the only thing, but the main thing that I'm worried about this is that it's not going to have enough temperature resistance, basically. I don't know how ESCs get a little bit hot. Not necessarily where I'm putting this. I'm not necessarily putting this on top of the MOSFETs or anything like that. So in theory, it'll probably be totally fine, but that's just one of the things that I'm thinking about. Is like, is this going to be too hot? Or is this ESC going to get too hot and jack this up? I just noticed something kind of cool. Inside the cap here, see the little stick in there? That's, I assume, to try to prevent this from drying out. That could be cool. I don't use CA/crazy glue, same thing, often enough, and usually the bottles will dry up and harden before I get through all of them. So a lot of times I'll buy the tiniest little bottles that I can, like a lot of times in like the grocery store, for example. Let's give that some time to cure. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that little metal stick in there will be the answer. And over here. Maybe it's in here? No reason. Like... God damn it. Okay. Ramdonko hasn't cut his face off yet. That's good. Blaine says, YouTube skipped over what you said. I'd planned on using a micro cam I already had. Hopefully, I can just turn the mounts around and it'll work. Yeah, absolutely. The included TPU loops are specifically meant for micro cams, Blaine. So yeah, you're good to go. Ram says, how thick? Bought all the wrong gauges. How thick? How thick what? What are you asking about thickness, Ram? Resist the urge to make a dick joke. 661FPV says, RC tire glue comes in different thicknesses and works well. Alley-oop says, Ripsqueak needs digital version. Maybe soon. Ramdago says, could you show how you squeezed in the hybrid to the Ripsqueak? Absolutely. It's not much of a squeeze, to be honest. It fits in there totally fine. But that's what it looks like once it's in there. I mean, yeah, I mean there's no real squeezing. Like it just kind of fits. 28 millimeter standoffs, and then these are a TPU loop that were made for me by a local guy with the 2 screws to lock in 30 degrees of up tilt. But I mean, you don't need these. Any old TPU camera loop will work, and it'll just fit right in there. Yeah, lots of extra room up on top here. Yeah, fits in there really good. You do have to have 28 millimeter standoffs, though. That's an absolute requirement. Because the Runcam hybrid camera is 24 millimeters tall, and it's a box, right? So once you then take that box and put 30 degrees of up tilt on it, 24 millimeters tall becomes 25, becomes 26, becomes 27 millimeters tall. But yeah, other than that, with the 28 mil standoffs, it fits totally fine. Thank you, camera. Okay, so that's over there drying. Let's start screwing around with this Pyrodrone flight controller. So this is actually really nice. I really like that they've given you plug headers here that then have the little jib jabs crimped onto them so that you can just make another connector, and they gave you a bunch of blank, empty connectors. That's really, really nice. That's kind of the smartest thing to do from a manufacturer standpoint. So huge thumbs up to Pyrodrone for doing that. I'm not gonna. I mean, one of these I think is for DJI. I don't know what the other one is for. I'm gonna have to look it up on their website. But and then they also did it with the flight controller to ESC plug header here. See, they've put the they've crimped the little homies on there. So this will be very easy. Come on, there we go. So this will be very easy to hook up to any ESC, because all you got to do is look up the what each wire is, and then stuff it into the connector, and then away you go. So I really like this, man. This is a really, really, really good choice, and I don't know of anybody doing this, which is absolutely ridiculous. What everybody else does when they give you these ESC to flight controller cables is they just guess. They just give you like one or two set up for like the most popular ESCs, but like nothing is all that popular. There's a million different ESCs, so like it's never ever right, which is just absolutely maddening. This makes so much more sense to do it this way. So huge props to Pyrodrone for including this stuff. This is really, really smart. So this flight controller does have a bunch of pads. I really prefer to use pads rather than these plug headers. So I'll probably end up using the pads on this thing. I am gonna need to bridge. It looks like these two guys here. I already put these rubber grommets in. It looks like it's got some through holes here if you wanted to mount a Crossfire, like hard mount a Crossfire Nano on a pin header, which I obviously will not do. But I will use these pads to wire up to the Crossfire Nano on here. So that'll be nice. Right now, what I'm looking at and thinking about is which orientation I'm going to mount this thing in. So the USB needs to be coming out the side. So realistically, I'm going to mount it like this, or like that, or like that, or like that. So let's see how it plays with the camera. Let's see if anything starts to smash into anything else right away. Oh man, it smells like super glue up in this motherfucker. Getting a little bit of a contact high over here. So not off to a great start because it is very much in the way. Oh god. It is very much in the way when there's up tilt on the camera, but sometimes that's cool. Oh yeah, so we're fine. I can put tons of up tilt on this camera before it hits. Okay, so I can absolutely mount it this like this. And if I do mount it like this, the only problem is the flight controller to USB. I'm sorry, the flight controller to ESC plug is on the bottom and it's facing forward. But what I'm checking here is to see if there's enough cable on this, and it looks like there is. So it would be like here, and then it would go under, and then it would just kind of turn the corner on the bottom, and it's totally fine. Yeah, so we've got plenty of cable length on this guy. I mean, worst case, I could just make another one of these with longer, but I would rather use this one. So this orientation is totally fine, but one of the things that I do want to try to figure out, I would love to not have to rewire this little microphone, and this little microphone has little itty bitty short 5-volt and ground wires on it, and if I mount this thing in this orientation, I don't see any 5-volt and ground pads, although I haven't looked on the bottom. I bet you there's a set on the bottom here. Yup. There's almost guaranteed to be a 5-volt and ground pad here on the bottom. So that's interesting. So that either this orientation or maybe even this orientation will totally work. Interesting. So then the other way to mount it is to rotate it 180 degrees, because again, we want to make sure that the USB port is out the side. And if I do it like this, I could use these plug headers. So I know it's going to clear in the front because this is in the same location as that. So the clearance in the front is not an issue. I could almost certainly use one of these two with the little supplied cables. Almost guaranteed that one of these two has a 5-volt out, and then I would just solder wire to wire, or if I'm not going to be lazy, I could desolder them from the bottom of the mic, pop the mic off, desolder them. So if I mount it like this, USB port goes out the side there. What I would love, what I always try to do is have the, oh, but you know what? Looks like in this case, I've got plenty of wire on the video out. Where's what I'm thinking is, I always like to try to mount it so that the video out is in the back of the board. CS, so there it is. CS is more than likely camera signal. So that's back there. And then how long is the Crossfire Nano cable? Once that's locked down there, it's almost long enough to get up to the front, so that should be fine there as well. So if this is here, yeah, so that's plenty long to reach over there. So I'm in a situation where I can kind of mount this in any orientation. Not any, but most. A lot of times, like at this point, like something will kind of jump out at me, like there'll be a cable that's too short, and it'll be like, oh, you have to mount it in this way because this cable is too short. But that doesn't seem to be the case here tonight, which is a good problem to have. So let me just give this a little bit more thought. Where do I want this? If this is on the bottom, that's kind of... Yeah, if that's on the bottom, it's fine, because it's going to protect that whole bundle of wires. Whereas if that's on the top, I mean, it's fine too. I can run it up and over. Starting to think I might mount it like this. What are these pads? R6, T6, 5-volt ground, CC for camera control, CS for camera signal. So that would be kind of nice because then the camera pads would be up front. But on this camera, it uses the plug header, so the camera pads are going to kind of be, they don't really matter where they are because, oh, and it's on this. So yeah, all I really need to do is tack down the video wire. I have this build set up a little different. I have this build powering the camera from the VTX, which is kind of fun. So yeah, I'd be able to put the camera signal up there, which is kind of like underneath this plug header, which is going to sort of be a mess, but it'll be totally fine. There's probably a ton of cable. Yeah, there's a fucking metric ton of cable. So that's fine. And then I've got ground. Oh, and there's a straight up VBAT pad on here. That's interesting. That I'm really not going to be using. This build is set up to only really need like a couple like this is the minimum number of wires connected to the flight controller, which is kind of interesting. Let me get caught up on the chat. Long Guyan with a $3 super chat. He says, for the Mazda fun and great tip on the rip squeak. Thank you very much, man. Let's get that added to the gear fund. 7, 8, 9, 10. 2240, nice round number. Thank God for people like Long. Where are we at here? Ramdango says, I just ain't got no do, but thank you. Isaac says, iFlight and BrainFPV give you crimped wires. Nice. Way to go, iFlight. BrainFPV, I wish they used a different gyro, but 661 says Pyrodrone is the best thing to ever happen to FPV. I might agree with you there. Rob Oxison says, Como esta? Sorry I'm late. Raven187 says, I installed a capacitor in my quad, and now whenever I go over 88 miles an hour, my quad travels through time. Did I use the wrong type of cap? Nope. Sounds like the right one. Rob Oxison says, send me that file for the camera mounts. I'll send us you purple ones. Match your new glide parts. I actually don't have the file, Rob. I got to get back in touch with the... I got to try to remember his name so that I can find him in my 7 million... Or remember what I need to search for to find him. But, yeah. Remind me, and I'll try to find some time to do that. Rob also says... TPU strap is CRAP strap. I can't find it in Thingiverse. You should be able to just search for CRAP, but I know Thingiverse's search sucks a bag of dicks. So let me do this. I will sign in, and I know I favorited it. All right, I'm signed in here. I think it's in my collections. Yeah, things to make. It's in here somewhere. There it is. That's why. Because it's C-wrap. Oh, and there's no space in between wrap and strap. So the only way to find it is to type C-RAP, no space, S-T-R-A-P. What a nightmare. Here comes the link. There you go, Rob. Windjumby says, finishing it tonight. I was hoping to, but then before I went to talk therapy, I couldn't find my wallet, and now I still can't find it, and it's just killing me. It's like every moment that you see me, I'm dying a little bit inside. Just now, I died a little bit. It just happened again. So, Probably not. I probably won't finish this tonight because I'm just in a terrible headspace. Just being honest. But what's new? You guys have to be used to me not finishing anything by now, because every single time I make a live stream called finishing something tonight, I don't finish it. So yeah, I can't imagine anybody will be too upset. If you look back at like past live streams, there's like 15 finish. Each time I finish a rig, there's been like 15 live streams called finishing so and so rig. Which way do I want to mount this? Well, I don't love mounting it with the USB down because it becomes a little bit hard to get the plug in there when the USB is facing downwards. But I mean, it's not that hard. Like, let's just try it actually. Yeah, see, like, it's a little difficult, but I mean, it's not that bad. Like, you know, it's not too terrible. Damn it. Yeah, there's not like I can kind of mount this any way I want. I'm starting to maybe think of doing it like this. Or like that. Because these little guys are the closest to like being a pain in the ass. So if I do it like that, then I can run the crossfire wires over there. That's fine. And the video out, where's the video out wire gonna go? Is there like a VTX pad on here somewhere? Man, I'm gonna be using a lot of pads that are on the bottom if I do it this way, which is kind of annoying if I'm honest. So if I mount it like this, I'll be using a bunch of pads that are on top. But then the USB port is in kind of an annoying spot. So let's just do it like this. Yeah. If I mount it like this, the USB is the easiest to get to. I can use the 5-volt here for this guy. Camera in is going to be on the bottom. And yeah, Ramdonko says Nick Burns showed a really small VTX today, 200 watts, looks like a nano receiver. Richard says, are you going to direct solder the RX? Yes, I'm not going to use the plug headers. I try to stay away from plug headers. And then Rob Axelson says, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Keep your gray matter together. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Really small VTX today. Like, I mean, so we've had really small let me just look it up. I can't imagine VTX is getting any smaller than the ones that we've already got. But, and I actually don't know if I would be interested in one that's any smaller, because they're gonna start they're gonna start to have cooling issues. Okay, so he's got a little, it's just a little happy model. Yeah, that's no smaller. And I would actually stay away from happy model anything, especially VTX. These tiny little VTXs have a really hard time shedding enough heat, so they tend to be very unreliable. Happy model tends to be the least reliable of the brands. So yeah, this is kind of recipe for disaster in my opinion. Really small VTX by the lowest quality manufacturer. So I would definitely stay away from that Happy Model VTX. There are plenty of other options. There's a Tramp Nano that's that same size. There's the TBS Pro 32, which I've had terrible luck with, which is that same size. My favorite is the Eachine Nano V2, which is $13. It's that same size, and it has a microphone on it. So, yeah, I would that Happy Model VTX would be my last choice, if I'm completely honest. Hey, patrons, you've got a bunch of new stuff to check out. So if you didn't know, one of the perks of joining my Patreon, hey, by the way, this is my full-time job. CiottiFPV.com has a million ways you can support me. One of the things that you get when you join my Patreon for $3 whole a month is access to a Patreon-only playlist of unlisted stuff. And I've uploaded 3 things to that playlist recently. I'm looking for the goddamn play. There it is. So yeah, check it out, patrons. And if you're not on my Patreon yet, it's a good time to join. This is the thing that I put up that I haven't. So there's 2 of the things, 2 of the more recent things that I've posted on Patreon are from the gig that I flew in Asheville. There's one with basically the one take that I think is going to be used in the commercial, that has been run through Real Steady Go, which is cool to see. But then I also last night put up the next battery that I flew that has not been run through Real Steady Go. So if you've ever wondered what Real Steady Go really looks like, this is with Real Steady Go here, and this is without it. Same exact run, same exact actors, same everything. So that's really cool to watch those 2 back to back. And then I've got a little. I flew the little Nanohawk X around, and just threw some music on it real quick. I flew it after it was raining, so the trees and the leaves and shit were all full of water. But that's the only excuse that I can make. Like, I've heard that the VTX that they use and or the antenna that they use is junk, but man, it's really bad. Like, I've never really had video issues flying around right out in front of my apartment here, but I had a lot of video issues with this thing. So yeah, I mean, it could be that the leaves are all full of water. Water does a really good job of absorbing RF. But I think, and this is sort of par for the course with Emacs. Their VTXs always kind of struggle. And this one is no different. So the video range you're going to get is going to suck balls. If you replace the antenna, that's definitely going to help. Let me see if they made it easy. Did they use a UFL in the antenna, or did they direct solder it? Oh, you jerk-offs. You direct soldered it, didn't you? Well, that sucks. They direct soldered the VTX antenna, which is... That's a shame. And this is all up on 200 milliwatts. Like, look at that. Look how bad that just got. This is up on 200 milliwatts. The motors are also too small. Yeah, I don't know. I guess for like an absolute beginner, this wouldn't be too bad. But I don't know. There's a lot of better stuff out there. With Emacs, though, you do get some amount of support, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, my very first rig was an Emacs rig. I didn't take advantage of the support, but I put these. So it comes with a new set of 3-inch bi-blades to the market. which are very, very, very lightweight. They don't make a lot of thrust though, so I put these GemFan 3018s on, and these definitely make more thrust, but they're a little bit heavier. They're a couple tenths of a gram heavier, and these motors already have a hard time with the weight of those lighter weight 3-inch bi-blades, and then with these 3-inch bi-blades, they just really, the tune just kind of comes to pieces. So I can't really recommend running GemFan 3018s on this, because the motors don't have enough stator volume to get a half decent PID. Well, it is a decent PID tune, but it's not a great PID tune. So, but I mean, when you're new, none of that shit matters. So it kind of is what it is. And I mean, it's a toothpick, right? So you're not doing anything with the footage from it for the most part. So I guess none of that really matters, but yeah, I don't know. The KV is a little too low on these motors. These motors are a little too small. This is one of the real problems with everybody being so obsessed right now with runtime, which just doesn't make any sense to me. It's so quick and easy to swap batteries, and like these little batteries are so cheap, that, you know, building a rig with like under-spec'd motors so that you can get like 8 minutes of runtime, it just doesn't make any sense. Like you're I mean, you're sacrificing the performance of the rig, so the entire time that you're flying, the rig is gonna fly like shit, but I can fly longer like shit, right? Like, this doesn't fly. I'm being very harsh, but this does not fly like shit. But I think you guys know what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to cripple the performance of a rig just so that it flies better. I mean, this is not like, these aren't long-range rigs. Like, I guess for a long-range rig, it would make sense. But toothpicks are not long-range rigs. I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't get... I do get it. I do understand why all of these manufacturers are doing this, and it's because of you guys. I mean, it actually kind of is. Stop caring about runtime is the only... Like, I guess if we all want to do something about it, every time that a new rig comes out and they're saying more than 3 minutes runtime, we all need to comment and say, hey, why such long runtime? I would rather have a rig that performs better. Right? Like, we need to shit on these manufacturers using 8 minutes of runtime as a selling point, and we need to tell these manufacturers that that's not what we want, because that leaves you with a rig that doesn't fly good. And, you know, I would rather fly for shorter periods of time with a rig that flies better. You know? Like, I didn't think I had to explain that, but apparently I do. So, yeah. Do that, maybe, if you remember. Next time, a manufacturer posts, check out our new rig, 11 minutes runtime. Take a minute to post, you know, thanks for under-speccing the motors. I'll definitely not buy that rig. You know what I mean? But hey, that's just me. GrizzFPV says, it is open source VTX 300 milliwatts. What the hell's an open source VTX? What can be open source about a VTX? All you can really do is change power and change channel, which is taken care of with smart audio. What's the advantage of a VTX being open source? What else can you do? What can a programmer do to a VTI? This I'm not getting anything done on this Ripsqueak tonight. I'm just gonna change the name of the stream right now to Lost My Wallet. Can't concentrate. Workbench Wednesday. Lost my wallet. Can't concentrate on anything else. ... I don't know. Roboxen says somebody stepped on a duck. Kevin Summer says, did you see the news yesterday? I did not. I just saw the headline. Happy Models ELRS stuff has yet another issue. Hey, look at that. If there was only some gangly guy that's been saying for the last 2 months to not buy anything Happy Model ELRS related. If there was only someone who gave you guys a heads up. If only that person existed. Hi guys. It was me. Richard said, but Maytech is coming out with ELRS hardware, so yeah, we'll be good to go. Maytech makes good stuff. Maytech's quality control is really good in my experience. I ran Maytech flight controllers in micros for probably about 2 years, and they were very, very well made. Really good quality control. Yeah, really impressive. So, in theory, that will be the answer to ELRS. But yeah, stay away from Happy Model. They're a company that makes the cheapest possible stuff, and the cheapest possible stuff tends to be the worst possible stuff. So yeah. Richard says, I meant the pins, not wire up. The flight controller has holes in line for the direct solder with pins. I don't do that. That's more of like a racer thing. So your flight controller has your gyro on it, and you want your gyro to be as clean as possible. So hanging things off of the flight controller that aren't like 30 gauge wires is a really bad idea for the performance of and for the soft mounting of that flight controller. You want your flight controller to just kind of float in space with as few things hooked up to it as possible so that the quad can vibrate underneath it and it can be as stable as possible. That's why we have rubber grommets in all four corners. If you take that flight controller and you run pins and then you run another PCB off of it, this PCB is going to have its own vibration on top of this thing that's vibrating on top of the frame that's vibrating. And that's not good. So this thing is going to, whichever orientation this thing is mounted in, it's going to add a vibration on that flight controller to just that axis. In my case, that would be on the roll axis. It's just not a great idea. It's not something that you want to do. Also, I guess there would be room for it, but yeah, you'll never see me mounting one PCB to another, especially when that other PCB is the flight controller. One of the keys to getting as clean of a gyro signal as possible is to have the minimum number of things hooked up to the flight controller. Try to just have your flight controller hanging out as few wires connected to it as possible and the thinnest gauge wires connected to it as possible so that those wires being hooked up to the flight controller don't really affect its ability to move around. You know, a couple, like a half a dozen 30 gauge wires being hooked up to your flight controller, those 30 gauge wires are nice and flexible so they can flex around all day long as the flight controller wobbles around and absorbs the flight controller is actually staying relatively steady. It's the rest of the quad and the wire that the rest of the quad has, that wire that's kind of moving around. So you can kind of think of it like the flight controller like this, and then the rest of the quad with the 30 gauge wires is kind of wiggling around. So yeah, don't do it. Don't mount anything up to your flight controller if you want the best possible performance, other than 30 gauge wires. This is also why AIOs perform like shit. With an AIO, you can't just hook 30 gauge wires up. You have to hook big, thick gauge battery wires directly up to it, which is a lesson that we learned back in the days of individual ESCs, which it drives me fucking crazy that everybody just forgot that. And you also have to hook 12 thicker gauge motor wires up to an AIO as well. So yeah, this is one of the many reasons that AIOs don't perform very well, and why I hate them with every molecule of my being. Raboxison says, my Ishi Nano VTX on my Baby Tooth and Tiny Hawk Freestyle is awesome. Rob, did you put a CP antenna on it? I have a feeling you did. These little tiny whip antennas are awful, and the fact that they direct soldered this little whip antenna here to the VTX is just incredibly frustrating. If they were going to direct solder a VTX antenna on, they should have done that with a CP, because CP is circular polarized, like one of those guys, antennas with a little head on it. They perform way better, and they don't have a null. They don't have two nulls. I mean, they still have nulls, but they barely have a null. Fracticless dropping the link to CiottiFPV.com. Thank you. GrizzFPV says it also does Tramp and Smart Audio. Very cool. Talking about the Happy Model VTX. I think all of the VTXs that are coming out now have Smart Audio, so that's good. Rob Oxen says condensation in the air eats transmissions. That's true. It was humid out. Rob Oxen says new pilots don't pay attention to batteries. Does it fly, and will it allow someone to enter FPV? Yeah, very true. Very true. But I don't know. Some decision. Yeah, I don't know. When I don't like that. I don't like when. I just don't like it. Like, they could put slightly bigger motors on and just motor limit them down for 10 minutes of runtime, and then you would have a rig that you could grow with, right? Like, I hate the idea of an entry-level rig that after a few months of flying, you're bored with because it has no power and because it wobbles all over the goddamn place. And you can't even run... Like, the fact that I can't even run these GemFan props on this is really... Like, that really pissed me off. Like the fact that these motors aren't big enough for a propeller that's like 0.2 of a gram heavier, that's ridiculous. Like, that's just silly. And, one of the things about this hobby is being able to, like, play around, being able to try different props, for example. So, yeah, I don't know. Just... Yuck. With the props that it comes with, though, it doesn't fly that terrible. It's not that bad. I almost put it into the top of a tree immediately because it had no power. I don't know. It flies around. It's 1S. You'd be way better off custom building a Baby Tooth. But, why does this motor make that noise? What is that about? I didn't even crash this, and this one motor is kind of jacked up already. What? Really? What the hell? I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Kevin Sumner says the open source part is the firmware on the VTX. Right, but like my question is like what possible use for open source is there on a VTX, right? Like all a VTX does is transmit, and all that we can really do is tell it to change its channel. Like I don't understand. I don't understand why that's like a like what good that does. Frank Nicholas says open source applies to hardware designs. Also doesn't have to be software. Lots of open source hardware. I assumed that VTXs were all open source though, right? I mean, because all the different manufacturers are making them. Maybe not. Maybe VTXs are closed source, and there's some royalty that has to be paid to somebody in order to license it, I guess. Is that maybe what you're saying, Frank? Rob Oxison says not only you, it was also Bardwell. Yeah, true. Much more so, Joshua, than me. Frank says only one of about 6 Happy Model ELRS products has an issue. It's not a popular item either. Wow, 1 in 6. That's... I think Frank was being tongue-in-cheek there. 1 in 6, Jesus. That's a lot. Wow. Wow. Happy Model, get your shit together, man. Fuck. I know you make the best... Well, no, I can't even say that anymore. They don't really make the best 0802 25,000 kV motors, because realistically, the tinywhoop.com 0802 24,000 or 25,000, wherever they are probably better because they have a one-piece bell design. Modulus 6 is interesting. It's really, really cheap. But lots of Modulus 6s fail. Either right out of the box or very quickly. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we have to have a manufacturer that's going to make the absolute cheapest stuff, right? Like we have to have that. So, yeah, I don't know. But I don't recommend that you guys buy Happy Model stuff. It's in my opinion, for a couple bucks more, you can get stuff that's seems to be way better, way more reliable. And fixing these things sucks. So I'll always spend a couple more dollars for something that's a little more reliable. FPV Trucker said, if nothing else, then if, like, when you have the least reliable shit on something that flies, when it fails, there's a chance you'll be flying. And if you be flying over a big tall tree, now the couple dollars that you saved cost you hundreds. FPV Trucker says, what do you think about Xnova 1804 on a V2 squirt on 3-inch props? I'm actually considering doing that exact build, FPV Trucker, because I don't necessarily because the 3.2 millimeter ripsqueak arms seem to be very durable. So those motors are very heavy. So that build right there would probably get right up to about 250 grams all up weight, if not a little bit more. What's interesting about that build is it allows you to use, if you get the M5 mount Xnova 1804s, which are the ones that I have, that will allow you to use the T-Motor 3140 propellers, which are amazing. Those are the most durable micro propellers that we have. And then the Ripsqueak 3.2 millimeter arms are really stout. So what's interesting about that build is it's potentially like a basher build. The only problem is it's going to get a little heavy for 3-inch props. It's not going to be Acrobrat heavy. I found the Acrobrat with that same exact setup to be a little bit too heavy. It was like 270 grams, I want to say, all up. Which on a 3-inch prop is too heavy. I think the Ripsqueak frame is roughly 20 grams heavier, so that's going to bring it right down to about 250 grams. So, yeah, I had that thought a week or two ago to do that build, because I I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna pull the I'm gonna pull those 1804s off of the 250 frame, and I'm gonna put the arrow lights that Tommy sent me on it. And at that point, I don't know what to do with those motors, so I just thought like, hey, that could be an interesting ripsqueak setup to do a little bit more. I'm still playing around with what the right all-up weight is for a 3-inch propeller. I still think it's 220 grams, but I want to try heavier just to kind of see. So yeah, that would be an interesting build. I have high hopes. Maybe not high hopes, but I'm looking forward to seeing what that. If I decide to do that, I'm looking forward to seeing how that is. Basically, I'm gonna rip apart the 250 completely because I got to get the 20x20 stack out of there. I got to get those motors off of there. So I'll probably just pull the entire squid out of it. And then when I rebuild it, I'm going to have to rebuild it on an AIO, which is going to drive me insane. But it's the only way for that frame. It's the only way for you to put the arms above the base plate on that frame, and that's the only way that those arms are removable. And that's like kind of a requirement for me at this point, is for those arms to be removable. Because they're not super strong. When I fly that rig, I don't crash it. Because I've seen a bunch of people breaking those arms. I like that. I like that the arms break because that potentially saves the motors. But in its current state, the arms are not removable without removing the 20x20 stack. And to remove the 20x20 stack, you have to remove the camera cage, which is a pain in the ass, and the top plate. So it's, every time an arm breaks, it's a complete nightmare. The way that rig is currently built, which is with the 20x20 stack. That frame is meant for an AIO. So I'm going to build it that way, and we'll see how quick the AIO blows up. Richard says, good point, I wire up anyways. I like spacing my RX, VTX, and flight controller from each other for some reason, mostly fear of possible interference. It's a perfectly valid fear. There's all kinds of nonsense going on inside these rigs. Ram Dongo says, cheers, man, mega club. Thank you, Ram. Adrian says, tell us how you really feel, don't hold back. Never. I don't know how to hold back. Rob Axelson says, yes, I put a CP antenna and got rid of the other POS. Yeah, so that's probably why you're getting half decent performance, Rob. Domenis is here. He says, what are you running on the Ripsqueak? 4S? Yep, 4S on pretty much everything over like 150 or so grams all up weight, in my opinion. Rob Axelson says, we all hate this is the best, just want to pass on good information and allow people to make their own choices, but inform them as best as possible. Yeah, whenever I'm in Bardwell's live streams, I always make it a point that when the 7,000 people ask, what's the best this, what's the best that, what's the best this, what's the best that, I really try to reply to as many of them as I can and say there is no best, just different. Because it's a super, super, super trap. And it's a question that can't be answered, and the answers that people get, like the people that answer that question with the name of a product don't know what the hell they're talking about, because they haven't been into this for long enough to understand that there is no best and that there's just different. And I'm trying to break these new people out of asking that question. That it makes no sense to ask that question first and foremost. None whatsoever. But then it makes even less sense to listen to anybody that answers that question. You know what I mean? So I really try to just make people understand that there is not a, there's no such thing. In 0% of this hobby, there's just not a best. There's just different. And people really need to understand that, because asking what's the best motor and then 14 people just telling you whatever motor it is, whatever one motor it is that they've ever run is the best, accomplishes nothing. all that's getting you is a popularity contest, right? What's like, because when you see the same motor being recommended twice, all that means is that 2 people bought that same bind and fly rig with that motor for the most part, right? Anybody who's done any actual testing or has been into this for long enough to have any understanding of reality is not just going to say Zing 2207. So, yeah. Brandon's Baked Beans says the reference design is open source. The reference design is open source. So I guess the reference design of the VTX, I don't necessarily know what that means. Frank Nicholas says hardware cloning is immortal if the hardware is not open source. Interesting. Frank also says, Happy Model, 1 in 6 of their models not popular, not 1 in 6 of a specific model. I have 10 RXs, no issues, and 2 TXs, micro and standard, no issues. Okay, so it sounds like it's really not affecting much. But, you know, on next week's news, there'll probably be another uncovered Happy Model disaster. I mean, it feels like every week, every other week, there's something else that gets discovered about Happy Model fucking up or something else. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not willing to save $2 by going with Happy Model stuff and then lose $100+ worth of rig, and I don't think you guys should either. But that's just me. You guys are allowed to have your own opinions. That's for certain. Rob Axelson says, I had someone send me a Mobula 6 on an open frame. It is a complete blast. Yeah, they fly good. They've got a really good set of motors. I mean, the Mobula 6 is fun because of the motors, like straight up. The AIO sucks. It's got a good camera, I think. The frame is shit. But it's got a good set of motors. And the biggest problem with these tiny little rigs is not enough power. So as soon as you put a motor onto one of these little rigs that has enough kV, the rigs fly amazing in comparison to the other small rigs. I've been building these little rigs for long enough where none of them fly amazing. Like, to me, this flies like total ass. But I have impossible standards. So, yeah. There's that. But yeah, this, all things considered, it flies. It's fine. BeepTube says, what's the best flight firmware? Beta flight. It's why everybody uses it. Finally, a simple question. Metal Gerson says, the only what's the best I can answer is the best motor I put on a 1S Baby Tooth. Bob's, obviously. Yeah, you could make an argument for that for sure. But then, you know, somebody's going to want a 1S Baby Tooth with more power, and then Bob's motor is not the right one because it's not enough kV for that person. You know what I mean? So, and I might actually be that person. I looked up Bob's 1S Baby Tooth motor, and it's the same as these. It's 120, I think. It's 1202.5, and it's like 1150 kV. And that's not enough. So, I mean, there's a chance that Bob's motor has stronger magnets, tighter air gap. There's a bunch of different things other than stator size and kV that can make a motor make a little bit more or less power. But yeah, I don't know. I would want like a 1303, for example. BlitzFPV says, have you heard of MCK's Dog-Com batteries? I have not. If they truly perform as stated on the tin, they seem to be really good. Interesting. I have not heard of those. GrizzFPV says, I hope have as much good luck as I've had with AIOs. Have you had good luck or bad with AIOs, Grizz? I can't tell from that comment. Brandon's Baked Beans says, you have a 250 frame. I tuned a buddy's filters on his, and it looks amazing on the logs. He says it flies the best of his quads. I could help you with some tuning suggestions. I've tuned my 250 just like all my other rigs, and it's been perfect. I do most of my tuning sort of mechanically, though, by putting the right motors and the right propellers, and by buying frames that aren't super vibey. So yeah, but yeah, mine doesn't need any tuning. It was good from day one. I mean, I put like my standard kind of PID tune that I run on most of my stuff, which is roughly 10 to 15 extra points of P gain, 20 to 30 extra points of D max, 5 to 10 extra points of D min, D min gain in advance up to 50. Standard sort of filter reduction that UAV Tech has been doing forever. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's usually all you really need to do in Betaflight to have something that's absolutely locked in. And the 250 frame, like Tommy did a good amount of... Tommy made sure that there weren't any resonant frequencies on the frame that are going to be a pain in the ass. So, yeah, it's that frame has been totally fine. But I've seen so many people breaking the arms, and with mine not having the arms be hot swappable, I can't really fly it hard to beat the hell out of it. I'm doing the chat a little bit out of order. Mona Dirksen says JHE MCU is making the tiny ELRS RXs now too. I wish for even more manufacturers to do it, but hey, they aren't Happy Model or Beta FPV. I've heard, Joshua was talking about this a while ago. He was saying that JHE MCU's quality control after their first batch really went to hell, and that their QC was worse than Beta FPV, according to someone that works at one of the manufacturers. I think he was talking about RDQ. The manufacturers are lucky because they can see how many of these things come back. So that I did not ignore like that. I paid very close attention when he was saying that. So I don't have a ton of confidence in JHE MCU. This is cool. The fuck this build. We're just gonna talk there's only 20 minutes left in the stream. So yeah, this is cool. We'll just have a conversation the whole stream. I love doing that. I love just talking to you guys. I think it's the thing that I can do that has the most value, to be honest, right? Like when I'm just sitting here working on my own builds, it's like you guys have seen me do that 7,000 times by now. So this is great that you guys are asking enough good questions to fill up the full 2 hours. Rob Axelson says, I fly over water, hence me leaving FR Sky and going TBS Crossfire. Yeah, me too, Rob. TBS Crossfire is hands down, unquestionably, the most reliable, most tested link that we have access to, and that is the most important thing to me, for sure. I know that, some of the testing on the 2.4 gig band over the last few months that it's been out has been promising, but that doesn't mean shit to me. Show me a year's worth of, or 2 years worth of really solid testing in really bad RF environments by pro pilots that are flying in really challenging spots. And then it's going to mean something to me. But yeah, none of this brand new shit is there yet. And yeah, I'm not going to have a quad fall out of the sky if I'm flying a gig downtown. It's just not happening. I'm going to go with the link that's time tested and proven over years and years and years and years, over the newfangled thing that, every week on the news there's some other pain in the ass fuck up with it. You know what I mean? On micros, who cares? Well, not true. On one hand, who cares, because you're not going to hurt anybody, but I don't want to lose a micro. I don't want to lose $100+ and 4 or 5 or 6 hours worth of build time. So I will stick with the known quantity, the known quantity that performs really well now that I've got this weird dynamic power issue figured out, for a long time before switching to something else that has marginally better performance. You know, that's the other thing, right? Like, the difference in performance is practically nothing between Crossfire and any of this new shit. And I'm just not that great of a pilot that I can notice that, or it's going to really benefit me. You know, I don't fly racing. I fly cinematic, which is like committing to a stick movement and leaving it there for as long as possible. So, you know, 2 milliseconds less latency ain't gonna do shit for me, because I make a stick movement like 100 feet before the object that I might run into. So having that stick movement happen 2 milliseconds earlier doesn't help me at all. So yeah. Rob Oxton says, Paul's got to refill my beer and glass. Frank Nicholas says, I paid between $12 and $14 for Happy Model RX's ceramic antenna for Tiny Whoops. That's pretty inexpensive. I hit a lot of walls inside. Nice. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than Crossfire Nanos, that's for sure. But there's a huge range difference between those Happy Model RXs and with the ceramic antennas and Crossfire Nanos. So that's not necessarily a fair comparison for me to make. Robert, no, we got that. Cool. I think I'm back not reading chat bottom to top. Brandon's Baked Beans. No, we got that. Oh no, here, there's more stuff that I've randomly read through. Bing, bing, bong. Come on, where we at? Okay, YouTube just did the thing. Where we at? Where? BeepTube says, I already know your answer. BlitzFPV says, here we go, okay. Still run red bottoms. No other motor will ever be better. Fight me. Yeah, there are people that are stuck in their ways. I mean, red bottoms make... I always advocate flying rigs that make as little power as possible, because that gives you more throttle resolution. Red bottoms make okay power, and they're really durable, and durability is another big deal. I've almost bought red bottoms a bunch of times now. Not recently, but like as recently as like last year. Because yeah, if they make just enough power, and if they really are as durable as everybody says, that's why I never got them though, because people said that they were durable 4 years ago when nothing was durable. I have a feeling that in 2021, they're not any more durable than any of the other motor options. But I'll never fight you on flying. I'm still kind of interested in building a rig on red bottoms, just at like kind of clickbaity, trolly, you know? But I won't. I've got too much other nonsense. Ramdako says, so Happy Model is an industry leader? Absolutely. Best quality stuff you can get, hands down, from Happy Model. BlitzFPV says, it's really funny when it comes to TBS in South Africa. It just seems TBS stuff bleeds terribly, has terrible performance, and is not very reliable, even in open fields. VTX and RX links. I'll agree with you on the VTX side of things. TBS VTXs seem to lose a little bit of their performance every time that you plug them in, which is one of the big reasons that I don't run TBS VTXs. But the Crossfire stuff, other than when you turn on dynamic power, has been totally bulletproof. So, can't agree with you on the RX side of things, but on the VTX side of things, I'll absolutely agree with you. I run... they're also too expensive. The Immersion RC Tramp for $30 has been amazing for me. Super durable. Great power output. Up on the high race band channels, it actually outputs more power than the old school TBS Unifies did. Yeah, really good VTX. Really solid. Metal Dirtskin says, the new ones are 13 millimeters. As usual, he won't say what height, but it is bananas compared to the old 12 at 2.5. Ooh, interesting. I like that. I looked. It's funny. After I flew this, I went to his website and I looked at those motors, and I didn't see. So these motors are on plugs. I don't think Bob's motors have the plugs pre-crimped on. If they did, I was kind of thinking about ordering a set. But that's stupid. This is giveaway fodder. This is not something that I'm going to keep and fly. I don't fly toothpicks for many reasons. I just don't need to. This is what I will say about this. It is infinitely quiet. So if you're in the situation that you're getting yelled at by people for flying out in front of your house or whatever, this is a great choice because nobody's going to hear this. Outside of that, I don't see a point. Unless maybe you're absolutely brand new. I guess you could make the case for this being a good starter rig. I actually don't think so. I don't think a toothpick is ever going to be a good starter rig because the bi-blade propellers, when you crash, are going to fold out of the way and you're going to bang your motor bells up. And then after a bunch of hits to concrete, your motor shaft is going to be wrecked. And that's annoying. So I don't actually think any toothpick is a good starter rig. They also they don't crash really well when they crash inverted because the camera cage is what's smashing on the ground. I don't know. That's just me though. I flew toothpick rigs almost exclusively for my first year and a half of flying, so I really got to see the problems with them. And the reason that I now build micros the way that I build them is because of that. Like, that's been my development of the 3-inch platform. My development of the best 3-inch platform. And having the camera be in the center and exposed like this, for me is no good. Maybe you don't crash as much as I do, but you still crash. And wouldn't you rather have something that crashes better? I would, you know. But some people like the flight dynamics of toothpicks, and I did too. I liked how light they were for a while, for a little over a year. And then I got bored, and then I wanted something that had more weight, more power, that I could actually go inverted with and throw over stuff. And toothpicks just don't do that. BlitzFPV says, could be how they couldn't find the bugs in Tracer because they were testing in the pristine Alps with very little interference. Yeah, could be. Yeah, when you're testing something, it's really important to test it not in just clear air, because who the hell flies in clear air? GrizzFPV says, hope you have as much good luck as I have with AIOs. Out of the 15 I've used, I've only had 2 give out. Wow, that is way outside of the norm that I usually hear. Although 2 out of 15, what's that? That's still like a 8% fail rate. I probably did that math wrong. 8% fail rate's not that bad. Still a big number though. I wonder what the failure rates are on stuff. BlitzFPV says, 100% agree with hardware tuning. It's like newbies with 3D printers. It's not assembled properly, and then everybody thinks it's the settings, but it's actually a loose belt or frame. Yeah, mechanical / hardware tuning is the most overlooked thing in this hobby, for sure. Namely, Kagi motors. Kagi motors, less so now because the motor manufacturers are finally getting their heads out of their asses. But putting Kagi motors onto a build is the worst thing you can possibly do. And it'll never fly right, regardless of what Crunked continues to say. What's important to realize about Crunked is he has 0 experience, so he's just saying that to fuck with me and piss me off, basically. But yeah, he's got 0 experience with micros, so when he says that over and over and over again, I assume it's just to fuck with me. That's the only thing that makes any sense. I assume that he doesn't actually think that he knows anything about micros. but who knows. Orga A says, finally built the 4LR I wanted for ages. Wanted to use iNav, but flight controller didn't connect with the ESC. Was sure I blew up something, but now reflashed beta flight and it works. Very cool, Orga. 4LR. It's a, is that the Flywoo? Is that the Flywoo long-range 4-inch rig? B-Man says, we know you love building so much. Yeah. Moto Dixon says, I'm just looking at replacing all my legacy 2.4 stuff with ELRS, sticking with Crossfire on the 5-inch for a long while yet. Yeah, I'm sort of in the similar mindset, Metal. Rob Axelson says, we all here appreciate all your work and input. Thank you. We still need to talk F-stoppers. Get your ass up to Savannah. Lots of cranes to fly around, shrimp beers on me. I'm hoping to do a little more traveling. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I've flown Savannah once, but it was like early days when I didn't have any, I was just flying micros. But yeah, I do want to get to Savannah again. Blaine says, what do you think about the 1504.5 Brother Hobbies on a Ripsqueak V2? One of my Ripsqueaks is currently on those motors. It is going to be coming off of those motors in favor of these Toka 1505s. These are a better motor. The Brother Hobby 1504.5s are very fragile. They're very lightweight, but they're very, very fragile. And Brother Hobby has been doing some shady shit. So I'm kind of boycotting. I'm not buying or recommending Brother Hobby anything from now on. They were very shitty with the way that they treated Bob Kebab of FPV Cycle, which is enough. Like that's enough for me to say fuck you for life. But I've also had some real reliability problems with a bunch of their motors, which is a part of the problem between them and Kebab. So yeah, I don't recommend any of Brother Hobby's motors at this point. Luckily, there are plenty of other motors that are just as good, if not usually better. So yeah, Toka 1505s definitely, rather than the Brother Hobby 1504.5s. Jason Crabtree says, did you figure out that you needed to turn off dynamic power on Crossfire? Yes. What were the symptoms? Symptoms were fail safes. Yeah, dynamic power on was causing fail safes. It's almost like it wasn't reacting fast enough. Like I would fly the rig and I would put the rig into a situation where the signal would drop off, and it was almost like dynamic power wouldn't up the power quick enough to prevent a failsafe. I feel like I turned dynamic power on a long time ago, but maybe not. Maybe I turned it on more recently. But yeah, now that I've turned dynamic power off, all my issues have gone away. So I don't know. I really, I feel like I'm the only one that's had that problem. But I don't care. It's off now, and whatever. I'm not going to continue to troubleshoot it. Because it's better now. So, moving on. Robox says, what's up to dynamic power and TBS? Example. Yeah, that's... I don't know what else to say. Redtail FPV says, why did they make the camera cutout on the Ripsqueak smaller for the V2? I can't fit a RunCam hybrid in it with 28mm standoffs now. I can. They made the camera cutout smaller so that they could swing 3.5-inch propellers. But yeah, I have no issues with the with fitting the RunCam hybrid. And I didn't think they made it that much smaller. I thought they only made it like a fraction of an inch smaller. It actually doesn't look like it's any smaller to me. Oh, it's not. Look at that. Yeah, it's not any smaller. It's the exact same dimensions. That's the V1 and the V2. I know it's hard to see, but just take my word for it. I have no reason to lie. Yeah, they didn't make it any smaller. And yeah, a Runcam hybrid will fit totally fine. I have 3 of these built with them. Hey, it didn't fall. That's nice. Where the fuck is my wallet? God, fuck you. God damn it. To anyone that's joined the stream late, I realized at 3 o'clock today that I've lost my fucking wallet. And I've spent all afternoon looking for it. I can't find it, and it's just driving me nuts. Nobody's used my credit card yet, though. Not that it's going to do much good. What are you going to buy, a loaf of bread on it before it goes to 0? BlitzFPV says, all my knowledge of TBS comes from my racing group. Could be they have dynamic power enabled. I mean, when racing, they lose RX on the starting blocks and in the grass when turtle modding. Weird. Yeah, racing is never a good analog for link quality or anything like that, because, you know, you're racing like right in front of yourself. Freestyle and cinematic and shit like that, that's really where you get to see which RXs and which protocols and whatnot work properly, because, you know, we're going miles away or we're going like 5 concrete buildings deep or shit like that. So yeah, racing is never a great spot to learn about that stuff. BlitzFPV says, all my knowledge of wait, no, we got that. Monodixon says, it feels like people get their egos attached to stuff. Absolutely. Like they need to be the one with the secret knowledge that only they possess. Yeah, big time. That's a problem in all of society today, in my opinion. It's really important to separate yourself from your ego and just be... there's a really satisfying word for it. Manufacturer agnostic. No, not manufacturer. Brand. It's important to be brand agnostic. Is my favorite way of putting that. Yeah, I mean, unless you own TBS, why the fuck would you spend any time being beholden to that brand, right? Like, I love Immersion RC stuff. I love the Tramp, and I will talk good about the Tramp. But, like, and the Rapid Fire, too. But, like, I'm not just going to jump on board with every single thing that Immersion RC makes. And, like, defend it. Like, there's that... Like, why? They're not sponsoring me. Even if they were sponsoring me, I don't, you know, make money from that company, you know? And neither does anybody. So this whole, like, being, like, beholden to a brand is just insane. And you see it a lot with TBS. Oh, my God. Like, don't go on the internet and say anything bad about TBS. The fucking... The army of TBS pant sniffers will hunt your ass down and kill you. It's just insane. It's just... yeah. But, I mean, it's also kind of human nature. You know, you see it in cars. It was... Oh, my God. It was... nasty in cars, and that's where motorsports and cars, that's where I learned how stupid it is to be brand loyal. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't benefit you at all, you know. Like, it's great that you might have found a brand that you bought like 1 or 2 good products from, but that doesn't mean anything. That means literally nothing. Your sample size is nothing. But yeah, it's some weird part of human nature. Orga A says, use the GepRC Croc baby frame with Flywoo stack and motors. Could it be the ESC firmware wasn't good enough for iNav but is for Betaflight? I have no clue, Orga. I don't know a single thing about iNav. I've never seen it. I've barely even heard of it. So yeah, unfortunately I can't help you. That's more of a question for Joshua. He has some iNav experience. Or maybe go into the Facebook group Long Range Hooligans. There's a lot of people in there that use iNav, I'll bet. Baxison says Ciotti plus Kronk equals SmackDown. I try not to. Like, I try not to get so upset, but the guy just fucking comes at me every single time. God damn. And, like, he just comes at me with these arguments with no knowledge, but like no personal experience behind them, and that fucking drives me crazy. Like, I just hate that. God, that drives me nuts. Like, there's so much bad information. Like, we can't, like, it's, to me, it is the responsibility of those of us that have the knowledge and have the experience to not have an ego and to fucking, like, just, yeah. If you don't have personal experience with something, don't talk about it. Or if you're going to talk about it, preface it with, I have no personal experience whatsoever with this, but I've heard from these people, or the research shows, or science says, right? And when you don't do that, it's really bad, and it really drives me nuts. It's totally like a pet peeve of mine, but it's a pet peeve that is rooted in reality, and it's kind of like a good pet peeve to have because it prevents people from wasting their hard-earned money. And that's where I kind of, yeah, that means a lot to me. Maybe it's just because I'm a broke-ass motherfucker and have been since day one of being in this hobby. So, you know, wasting money on gear is like a really, really, really big deal to me. Maybe for some other people that, you know, they just don't have that mindset, and that's fine. But I wish they did. Dennis Gerber says, Brother Hobby Motors still show up as recommended in your video description. Might want to update that. Thank you, Dennis. I will. Let me open that up in a separate tab here. They're not a bad motor. But they seem to be a bad company. Come on, YouTube Studio. Help a brother out. There we go. Settings and upload defaults. All right, cool. I will swap those motors out at some point here. And Ramdanko says, so that makes sense. Dynamic doesn't adapt. I think it just doesn't adapt quick enough, maybe. Or maybe it doesn't adapt at all. I don't know. But it didn't work for me. BlitzFPV says, Brother Hobby's heyday was in 2018. That time has come and gone. Yeah, I thought with these VY motors... I mean, when their VY motors came out, they were the best, hands down. But now everybody else has come out with motors that are just as good, if not better. So the VY motors were a big deal, and they still are. They're very lightweight. They're very, 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 very lightweight. That's what VY means. But yeah. Redtail FPV says the cutout on the top plate is smaller. Oh. I think I see what you mean, but it still fits totally fine. I guess you need to run a TPU loop that has the camera mount screw closer to the front standoffs. There are a bunch of those on Thingiverse, so I would just jump onto Thingiverse, and yeah, you're looking for TPU camera mounts where that screw hole is closer to the front standoffs. Oh God. Oh man, is that ugly. So the CA has dried, but man, did it make a mess all over this ESC. Let me hit this with some rubbing alcohol, see if I can. I mean, it's probably fine. I don't think that residue is like caustic or anything, but it does look like ass. And any excuse to use my little fancy little alcohol dispensing thing I'm gonna use. Looks like it comes right off. Happy days are here at last. Oh shit. It's taking off the CA. Or maybe the CA wasn't all the way dry. That was a dumb thing to do. Usually CA cures pretty quick though. What the fuck? What the fuck? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That might have been an error in judge. Oh yeah, it's very much coming off. Shit, I didn't think CA was dissolvable in rubbing alcohol. Is that a thing? Farts. Have I just made a grave error, chat? Chad? Feels all soft now. Oh, Christ. God damn it. Well, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's just a phase. I don't know. Why does everything have to fuck with me? What? That's not true. I have it pretty good. And it didn't clean anything off anyway. I guess I'll be buying epoxy tomorrow. Driving to the store without a goddamn driver's license, paying with cash. Remy Tim says, if you like the Toga 1505s, you should send Who Wants a Bind and Fly Ripsqueak here. Copy link address. Let's see. Full send FPV. Oh, wow. Oh, those motherfuckers. Oh, wait, no, okay, okay. Oh, okay. I thought they knocked the frame off. So they're doing... Oh, cool. They're doing bind and flies. What are they, Hey, look at that. They're putting the right motors on it. Nice. Good for them. Well, this is a good build. Maybe. I don't know anything about that stack. But it's got the right motors. They're putting good props on it. I don't like the Pro 32, but... Ooh. This is not a bad build. Very cool. Very, very cool. I'll be damned. Oh, it's a toothpick AO. Fuck that. No reason for that. No reason for that. Okay, this is not a good build. Sorry! Not a good build. AIOs are the worst. Down with AIOs forever. That's a shame. That's a shame. With a 20x20 stack, that would be a really good build. That's a shame. Ragamuff is in the house. He's just like me, he says. What's up, brother? I haven't seen you in a while. Raboxon is out of here. Thanks for hanging. Oh, God. Hey, Erod's in the house. What's up, Edwin? I'll find my place real quick, though, so I don't read this shit out of order. Oh, wow, I am way behind, and it's after 11 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to go full speed through these, through the chat. Wow, I'm really behind. Okay. Wow, I'm really behind. Oh my God, I'm so behind. How am I this behind? Oh my God, what has happened? Okay, full speed, here we go. Where the hell was I? YouTube did the thing, so now I gotta find where I was. There we go. Jason Crabtree says, Crossfire has failed me a few times. Realized that I had recently turned on dynamic power and didn't remember why I had it off. So wait, Jason, are you saying that you've had fail-safes with dynamic power on? I would love it if that was the case. Ramdongo says, well, it's behind the bed. No, it's not. King Turkey says, cancel all your cards and replace. Get new license, insert above in the new wallet. And then your old wallet will appear in the most obvious spot. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons that I'm not doing that, is I know that, yeah, as soon as I replace all my shit, that I'll find it. So I'm just going to wait as long as I possibly can. Fucking pain in the ass. This has never happened to me. I've never lost my wallet before. Permanently. Like, I've lost it for like 10 minutes before, but I've always been able to be like, okay, it's over there. FPV Trucker says, purple grip tape from CiottiFPV for my Mambo on the way. Nice. Take some pictures and I'll throw them up on places. Ragamuffin says, love you too, brother. B-Man says, TBS fanboys is a real thing. Yeah, B-Man knows. BeepTube says, somehow that edit I made from Micro Mayhem area at Rampage has gotten 2,100 views. Guess a lot of people searched for Beta FPV Cletus when it came out. Nice, BeepTube. That's awesome. Rob Oxison says he said pant sniffers. I did. That's one of my favorite little insults. Adrian says, it hurts the product more than anything. You will accept the flaws in the product because of your loyalty. Yeah, that's true too. That's very true. Ramdonko says, after 3 months years ago, stolen wallet has was just passed under the headboard. Still had money in it. 3 months promise. 3 months promise I changed the sheets. I guess I'll look around the bed. I was thinking about looking around the bed, but it doesn't make any sense that it would be in there. I'll do it anyway. Rob Oxison says, dude, take a deep breath. No! I breathe short, so I stay jacked up all the time. Christopher Young with a $22 super chat. He says, 22 for the 2. Looking forward to checking up and slaying AC tomorrow. You're going to Atlantic City tomorrow, Chris? Slaying AC? What's tomorrow? Thursday? Am I AC? Are you coming to hang out tomorrow, Chris? I didn't know that. Was I supposed to know that? Putting it in the gear fund. 2240 becomes 2262. Thank you very much, brother. Very generous. Chris is a local fella. Local friend of mine that I met through cars, actually. Rob Oxon says, it's official, I need to crash again, all stay safe. Money Thurston says, VY is best rate of climb. That's it. Best rate of climb. B-Man says, T-Motor F40 Pro 4 all day, but I'm going to say FPV Cycle 25mm are pretty fucking dope. Yeah, I would love to try them, but they're just too heavy, and they're just too heavy. Ragamuffin says, can I ask you a question? Absolutely, that's what I'm here for. I have to poo, he also says. All right. Blitz FPV says, exactly like I said, I only know TBS from others on the product like my Talon Fusion FC. Swear by it according to your experience. No point in arguing with people like you. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, I have no reason to lie. You know, I say that a lot, but it's true. Like, I'm sponsored by GemFan, but a part of the sponsorship was don't stop flying other props. Don't, change anything. Kind of sort of sponsored by FPV Exchange. Try to send as many of you guys to their website as possible because it's a great website. And that's kind of it. Like any sponsorship opportunities that come my way, the response that I give is always either no, usually it's no, because they're from companies that I don't fly their stuff and I don't trust their stuff. But if there isn't, if it's not a no, it's a, hey, for the record, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to change anything about. Like if you like what I'm doing right now, awesome. If you want me to change anything about my approach as it currently is, thanks for the opportunity, but I have no interest in that. That's not how you get sponsorships, but sponsorships aren't really... sponsorships don't pay very well. Yes, it looks good to be sponsored, but when you actually look at the amount of time that you're going to put in versus the amount of money that you're going to save, usually you're paying yourself like less than $5 an hour. And like, don't do that. Don't pay yourself that little. You're worth more than that. Get a part-time job making $10 an hour, and you'll make twice as much money, and then you'll be able to buy your own stuff. It's a weird analogy, but you know what I mean. Leadfingers says that is the thing CA dissolves in. Oh, no. No! Really? How did I not know that? How did I not know that isopropyl... Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that mess. Oh, it's so much worse now. Oh, boy. It's so much worse. I mean, in theory, it shouldn't have hurt the electronics. It's still hard. That's what she said. Whatever. It's probably fine. It's just gonna look like shit. It's fine. It's fine. Jesus Christ. If I'm gonna fuck up, I'd rather fuck up in front of 58 people. BlitzFPV says, isn't CA conductive? It fucking better not be. Why use it on the ESC instead of some control coding? Main reason I use it is because on the previous stream somebody said that it would work just as good as epoxy, if not better than epoxy. It better not be conductive. I mean, if it is, that ESC is toast already. Let's find out. Let's find out if it's conductive. Oh, I'm gonna be pissed if it is. Hooking up the smoke stopper. Prepare for fire. Ultra half-ass this and just jam these naked leads into the XT60. All right, ready? Well, it didn't explode. I don't have motors or anything hooked up to it that would let me know if it's actually working. But it didn't catch on fire. It also didn't trip the smoke stopper. So that's probably a good sign. Just making sure that these wires are contacting the metal inside of the XT60. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely putting power to it. And it didn't catch on fire. So it either just blew up or CA is not conductive. I certainly hope that it's not conductive. If it is conductive, I'm going to hunt down the person that told me to use it last stream. Erod with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, brother. Glad to have you, Edwin. Hope you're doing well, man. Erod is one of my favorite human beings here in FPV. 2262 goes to 2267. Erod also provided me with one of the nicer moments that I've had this year at Rampage around the campfire. He played a song that just like in that very moment of my life and a lot of the things that were going on, basically the separation with my wife, my ex-wife of 15 years. Just the right song at the right time with the right people. And it was just a really cool moment in life. And yeah, I mean, I know he didn't that wasn't premeditated. Like he didn't ooh, you know what song Ciotti needs to hear right now? This one. But, you know, universe is an interesting place. And yeah, just a cool moment. A memory I'll never forget. You know, that kind of thing. William Barlow says, I'm running the micro crossfire and I'm getting a lag at about 100 or so yards. Any suggestions on what it could be? Something in the settings maybe. Definitely turn off dynamic power, William. That's the only thing I can think of, though. Put link quality in your OSD and see what's happening with the link quality. Usually what a lag means is that you're going from 150 hertz to 50 hertz. That should not be happening at 100 yards unless you're behind like a big thick tree or a building or something like that. So yeah, do that. Put link quality in your OSD and that'll help you troubleshoot it. Check the antenna on the quad, check the antenna on the transmitter. Leadfingers says, they're my local micro and whoop shop. Super cool guys. Jesus Christ, YouTube just did the thing. I don't know who you're talking about, Leadfingers. That was like 15 minutes ago. Sorry, brother. He says, should I get that frame and motors? I've been looking for a 3-inch basher. I don't know what... If you're talking about the Ripsqueak with the Toka 1505s, absolutely. B-Man says, I invented electricities. AIOs are the devil. See? B-Man knows, and he's the inventor. King Turkey says, got an available address you don't mind sharing. Want to send you a gift to try out. Not on the stream, but message me, and I'll give it to you, King Turkey. Erod saying, yo, F5 LOL. Erod saying hi to Ragamuffin. Family Guyver says, can you sell items on FPV Exchange? Absolutely. That's arguably the point of the website. It's more than just that, but yeah. All right, yeah, I just gotta go full speed. I want to read more of these comments, but only the ones that I'm tagged in. King Turkey says CA is not conductive. Fuck yeah. When cured. Stop, don't. It's fine. Remy Tim says CA glue is not conductive according to Google. Awesome. Frank Nicholas says, if CA is conductive, use more alcohol and clean it off. Kevin Sumner says, Electronic Stack Exchange says CA is... All right, so we've oh, and also alcohol does not dissolve CA, King Turkey says. All right, cool. So we're getting to the bottom of some of this shit here. Remy Tim says, that was a peaceful moment. Great friends were there. Yeah, Remy Tim was there. Rampage was the last weekend before. Basically, Rampage was the last, was like the end of Kristen and I living together, basically. So yeah, it was an amazing event with amazing people, but it marked the end of a 15-year season in my life. So it's very strange. But it also marks the beginning of a pretty wild, pretty magical new season in my life here. Living alone for a little bit, meeting Maggie. My career's really taken off. So yeah, I mean, it's easy to kind of like be all doom and gloom about it and like, oh, you know, that was the end of it. But it wasn't the end, it was the beginning in a lot of ways. My talk therapist, he uses the word seasons in reference to like periods in our life. And yeah, it was the end of a season. It was the end of a very long season in my life, and in a lot of ways, a great season. There were a lot of really good memories in those 15 years. Less so towards the end, of course, right? But yeah, I don't know. That's life sometimes, you know. Shit moves on. You gotta let the universe do its thing sometimes, and then that's hard. That is hard, but work on it every day. That's all we can do. Blitz FPV says, "Oh shit, sun's coming up here. Time for you to not also fuck up your sleep schedule. My sleep schedule is ruined forever." the pandemic. I mean, my sleep schedule was wrecked before the pandemic, but man, it really just took it to another level. Hey, look at that! I'm caught up on chat. Erod, thanks for hanging out, brother. Look at you, talking to people in the chat. Talking to the greatest group of FPV people in all the land. Thanks for hanging, friends. This was a good one. Let me give you something. What can I end the stream? Oh, I'll give you guys something unreleased. Here's something from the Patreon playlist. For $3 whole a month, you can join my Patreon and you'll get access to this playlist with like 80 some odd raw rips, random half-finished edits, all kinds of good stuff, like Patreon-only live streams. And yeah, I'll play something from that playlist. Because I love you guys so much. Crisp Tater says, what is the build? What build, Crisp? Playlists. Patreon only. There are 82 things in here. Pieces of content in here. Ooh, this is what I'm going to play for you guys. I'm going to play the Sketchy Greenville dive. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Watch this. Like 3/4 of the way through this, you're going to see arguably the best, not best, arguably the sketchiest dive ever. The one on the workbench, this is one of my like standard FPV cycle glides, Crisp. Thanks for hanging out. Here's arguably the tightest. A couple people said that this is tighter than the Duga dive. Technically, yes, but I would not say that this is any better than the Duga dive. It's just different. But yeah, here you guys go. I'll see you guys Friday. Friday at 7. Where's the thing at the bottom of the screen? Do I not have it turned on in here? Yeah, whatever. Love you guys. Be good. Bye-bye. See you Friday. Thanks for hanging.
Same shit they be pushing, yo, but it's got a grown man having withdrawals. I don't mind if you don't listen that much. Yo, I just mind what you say for the crowd. Cause some of y'all don't listen at all. Some of y'all don't answer that call. Realize the movie that I was watching, it's the end of the world. Illuminati is coming. Gather the boys and girls and watches it all unfurls. They clutching at all they pearls and no one asking for guidance. Stimulus check, won't you cash app that? I got niggas and they said that respect they black. Politicians and they said don't know how to act. That's why we sitting on the wrong track. Back to the long track. And it's okay to be rich. My mama always told me I was destined for greatness. But my mama also, she told me take care of the kids and everybody around the world that can't fight for it. So it's a Kuna Matata, beast on the water, pray to provider. Please don't divide us. Keep that and try to face your intruder to be someone brighter. Yeah, all in mind if you don't listen that much. But some of y'all don't listen at all. Same shit they be pushing, yo, but it's got a grown man having withdrawals. I don't mind if you don't listen that much. Yo, I just mind what you say for the crowd. Cause some of y'all don't listen at all. Some of y'all don't answer that call.
You gotta be shitting me with that one. Not once, but twice.